Hello everybody, I hope everyone's having a great day and welcome if you are new to the channel. My name is Daniel, I talk about Essendon. I've been going through all the players on Essendon's list, looking at our expectations of them going into 2026, what we expect of them, whether we think they're going to improve or decline, and what basically they can bring to the Bombers. We're getting towards the end now, we're well into the mid-30s, and the player that we're going to look at today is Jordan Ridley, who's I think unanimously regarded as an excellent player, one of the very best players on our list. Many would say certainly our best defender, I would say, when he's on the park, and that is the key question, when he's on the park. He hasn't been on the park enough. He's 27 years old. He's an excellent intercept defender. He's out of contract in 2029 after signing an extension a couple of years ago, which took him through to 2029. He's a tall guy, pretty heavy as well, 192 centimetres, 91 kilograms, and we picked him up at pick 22 in the 2016 National Draft. So as you can see from this graphic here, he's only played basically half of all the available games. He's played every second game. You can see the last 3 years, he hasn't really contributed on field much, basically had a consistent string of soft tissue injuries, one after the other. The worry with that, of course, is when someone gets soft tissue injuries, you've got the scar tissue there, and that makes it then more likely to then get another soft tissue injury. But he's still young. He's only 27. He's not over the hill in the sense that, footballers should be able to play well into their early to 30s and even into their mid-30s. He's only 27. So I haven't given up hope yet, although it does test us, of course, because he was a pretty good investment, picked 22 in the 2016 National Draft. He won the 2020 Best and Fairest, where he played pretty much every game that year in the shortened season. So he's shown that he can, be an excellent player. And if he is able to stay on the park, he'll be a win for us in terms of his investment. At the moment, his investment is probably 50-50. I mean, look, it's shown that he can play, that's for sure. We know that. That's I don't think up for debate. It's just a matter of whether he can get on the park. So last year he was rated our 23rd best player. He's better than that. That's just what the statistics say. But he averaged 17 disposals, 3.4 contested possessions, 5.5 marks, and 5.1 intercept possessions a game. He, of course, requested a trade to the Brisbane Lions in just after the season finished. I wasn't too concerned about this. I've always felt that a player is going to be at their most upset, I guess, or they're going to be contemplating their future straight after the season's finished. When you're on a 12 or 13 game losing streak, everyone's down in the dumps. It feels like you're a million miles away. But as you can feel it as supporters, as the weeks go by and you get the new fitness regime in Matthew Innes, and you get the draft, and you get some exciting young players. All of a sudden, everyone's mood goes up, and I think Jordan just needed a little bit of a word in his ear and said, look, we've put a lot of off-field things in place. We've got a guy that is coming in who's going to hopefully help you and get you on the park with your injuries, and you've just got to, stick with it. And I think he just needed his arm twisted a little bit, and he did. So it doesn't surprise me at all that there'd be a player that was upset after the season finished. You've got to think how you would think immediately after the season is finished. But once someone had a bit of a word to him, he's then sort of embraced the short to medium term future of the club. He has gone down with another injury at training, but although it's a little bit unsure exactly what's happened. We've heard reports he did a hamstring injury, and then we've had other reports that he's on light duties. Well, whatever it is, it's not particularly serious, right? So we'll just look at it that way. I heard he was running laps the other day. So look, it's November. If there's a time to do an injury, this is probably it. Just make sure that you get yourself right. Last thing you want to do is having a hugely interrupted pre-season. So what's interesting as well with Jordan is that we did recruit a player in Contagianis, who's kind of like a Jordan Ridley clone, who's regarded as being kind of the same thing as Jordan Ridley, who's very an intercept defender, who is good at reading the play, good kick. Those in the know say Contagianis is very, very similar to Jordan Ridley. So is that a concession by the club that Ridley might not be part of the club's future due to his injuries? Or is it just Ridley's 27, Contagianis is a teenager, you've got to just look for the next generation? I think it's probably more the second. right? I don't think they're looking at him as a replacement in the next year or so for Ridley. I think it's a long-term thing, but it is interesting that a player who is basically like another Jordan Ridley has been recruited. As for the trade request, people keep talking about trade requests for players. I see it on my channel in the comments. It's the same on other YouTube channels for other Essendon creators. You always see trade this player, trade that player. It's not really realistic. So let me just put a bit of realism into this discussion about trading, and I'll tie this back into Jordan Ridley. Remember trade period, right? We didn't trade a single player, not one. We got a player in, Fiorini from the Gold Coast, but we didn't trade a single player. Trades aren't that common. You might have one per club. For a trade to happen, the player has to agree to it for a start. The club has to want to get rid of him, right, the player, and the other club has to want to take that player. So 3 things have to happen. Like this notion of just trade the player, it doesn't happen. Like all those 3 things all have to align. And given Jordan Ridley's injury history and given that he's contracted till 2029, I don't think a trade request or a trade happening is realistic. I just don't think a club is probably going to agree to that. I think it's on Essendon to make sure we get him right. Trades, it kind of does my head in when I see all the comments like trade this player, trade that player, as if we just decide if a player gets traded and we have to compel another club, just give us your best player in return. It doesn't work that way, all right? Trades are rare. They don't happen that often, okay? So I don't think a trade request for Jordan is realistic. But look, at his best, he is a fantastic player. His intercepting ability is elite. He's a very good kick. He reads the play well. He's quite strong. He can play as a key defender, or at his best, he can play as an intercept defender. I think that's where he's at his best. I think Essendon as a team is at their best when you've got Mackay and Zach Reid taking the 2 key pillars in defence and Ridley playing that sort of third intercept role, because I think that's his strength. But when he's needed to, he can play one-on-one as well. So he can really do it all. He doesn't have any obvious weaknesses. The only kind of one I would kind of say is that because he's been injured so often, he comes back into the side and usually plays well, but he comes back into the side playing his normal role because, that's what you would expect. After you've been out for a while, you come back into the position you're familiar with. If he'd been playing 20 games a year for his whole career, there might have been scope to try him somewhere else. But that's never really happened because it's always just been, well, Ridley's back from injury, let's just put him back in defence where he is, plays 4 or 5 games and gets injured again. So I've always wondered if someone like him with his talent could play anywhere else. Could he play in the forward line? I don't see why those skills wouldn't adapt to that. But we've never really seen it because he's always just coming back from injury and then going back to his regular position again. It's never sort of been in the conversation. So what are the key questions anyway we've got about Jordan Ridley? The first is pretty obvious. Will the new high-performance team deliver 20-plus games? If they do, we're going to be a pretty good team, right? We can. We've got the potential to be a good team if we can get everybody on the park, and Jordan Ridley is a key part of that. I think he's our best defender, but can Matthew Innes and the team get him on the park for 20 games? The second question I've got is there another position for him? Talking about just expanding on that point I just made before, injuries mean he hasn't really been tested anywhere else. Maybe there's another position that he can excel at. We just don't know. The third question I've got is, can he be a good mentor to Kondogiannis, who we kind of see as his long-term successor? Not necessarily this year or next year. Kondogiannis will take a little while. He's not going to be in the team for a while. But can he show some leadership in the back line to players like Archie Roberts and Kondogiannis? Because I think he could be a leader. It's just the fact that he's not on the park. So it's always just focusing on getting back to his best footy rather than leadership. You can't really have a leadership position when you're not on the park. But if he's on the park, I think he can be a good mentor to players like Archie Roberts and Kondogiannis and some of the others. So what do you guys think of Jordan Ridley? Do you agree with my assessment of him? Is there anything I've missed? Do you agree that he's our best defender? What do you think is required for him to get on the park? And will we be a much better team? Well, it's obvious we will be a much better team, of course, if Ridley is on the park for us next year. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Please like and subscribe if you appreciate this content and you enjoy what I do on this channel. I'm going to I'll leave it there. Hope you've had a good day, everyone. And as always, go Bombers!
Bombers, Bombers come out.